To Minzago. Sign from God? Biggest tragedy just happened in the USA. The world is shocked and scared.
The storm is disrupting life for millions of people in parts of southern Ontario and Quebec.
The Sierra Nevada.
Florida's economy, built on the promise of coastal paradise, teeters on the edge of collapse.
It's like a bubble gum. As a winter storm slammed the region, the video, it's been making its rounds online, but
along the southeast coast of Florida are sinking at unexpected rate.
Across the United States, an extraordinary convergence is taking shape. Events unfolding so fast and so close together that coincidence no longer explains them. A deep winter freeze stretches from Florida to Massachusetts, locking regions unaccustomed to cold into record-breaking conditions. Along the west coast, California's shoreline is being torn apart by relentless waves, as if the ocean itself is advancing inland. In the Midwest, blizzards transform the sky into unnatural shades of pink, while violent storms carry eerie metallic sounds never meant to be heard. These are not isolated incidents scattered across time. They are simultaneous. They are intensifying, and they suggest that long-standing natural boundaries are failing right now. Stay with us. Like the video, comment with your perspective, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us as what comes next may change everything. Along the California coast, the line between land and ocean is being erased in real time. Massive waves slam into cliffs that once seemed permanent, tearing away layers of earth with each surge. Roads fracture and slide into the sea. Homes built on what was considered solid ground are suddenly exposed, damaged, or swept away. What appeared stable for decades is now proving fragile within days. This devastation is not the result of a single catastrophic event. It is the outcome of multiple forces converging at once. Powerful storms deliver repeated impacts instead of isolated blows. Rising sea levels steadily undermine the base of cliffs and bluffs, weakening them long before collapse becomes visible. Land instability adds another layer of risk, as soil and rock lose cohesion under constant saturation. Beneath all of this, seismic pressure continues its slow, relentless work, stressing the ground from below. Events once described as once in a century are no longer rare anomalies. They are happening again and again, often within the span of a few years. The pace is accelerating. Recovery windows are shrinking. Infrastructure designed for occasional extremes is now facing continuous strain, and its limits are being exposed. Perhaps the most unsettling factor is what cannot be easily seen. Below the surface, the Earth itself is slowly sinking. This gradual subsidence weakens foundations invisibly, creating a dangerous illusion of stability. Buildings remain standing, roads remain passable, and life continues as usual until a threshold is crossed. When that moment arrives, failure is sudden and irreversible. There is little warning, only aftermath. Beyond scientific explanations, many people sense a deeper disturbance. The collapse feels symbolic as much as physical. The coast has long represented security, prosperity, and permanence. Watching it crumble challenges assumptions about control and predictability. It raises uncomfortable questions about how firm our foundations truly are, not just structurally, but culturally and spiritually. In the Bible, the collapse of foundations is often used as a warning. Foundations fail not merely because of external pressure, but because erosion has been quietly at work for a long time. When collapse comes, it reveals what was hidden. As coastlines weaken and foundations give way, the instability does not stop at the water's edge. It moves inland, climbs into the atmosphere, and reveals itself in another form: cold. A powerful winter storm has swept from Florida to Massachusetts, placing tens of millions under extreme weather conditions simultaneously. Regions accustomed to mild winters are suddenly facing freezing temperatures, ice, and snow. The scale is striking, not confined to one state or one climate zone, but stretching across the entire eastern half of the nation in a single system. What was once localized has become widespread. At the core of this event is Arctic air pushing far beyond its historical boundaries. Cold, normally contained to northern latitudes, has plunged deep into southern regions, disrupting ecosystems, infrastructure, and daily life. Crops, power systems, and transportation networks built for warmth are being forced to endure conditions they were never designed to handle. The familiar seasonal balance is no longer behaving as expected. Even more concerning is repetition. Weather patterns once described as rare are now returning again and again. Consecutive cold spells over multiple years are challenging long-held assumptions about variability and resilience. The idea of a normal winter is becoming harder to define as extremes cluster closer together in time. Scientists point to atmospheric changes, shifts in jet streams, pressure systems, and global circulation. These explanations describe the mechanics, but many residents describe something deeper. There is a shared sense that the natural order itself feels unsettled. When cold reaches places it historically avoided, it creates more than inconvenience. It creates unease. People feel it instinctively, even if they cannot articulate it scientifically. Scripture often speaks of widespread upheavals across nations as warnings not meant to induce panic, but to awaken awareness. When disruptions occur across broad regions at once, they are portrayed as moments that call for attention and reflection. Not every storm is a message, but repeated and simultaneous disturbances invite questions that go beyond temperature charts. Why now? Why does the cold reach farther, linger longer, and return more frequently? Why do boundaries that once held firm appear increasingly porous? These are not questions of fear, but of timing and pattern. The storm is not just about weather, it is about signals. And when taken alongside collapsing land and rising seas, it becomes part of a larger narrative unfolding in real time. Stay with us and keep watching. What comes next may help connect these events into a clearer picture and challenge how we understand the moment we're living in. Within a powerful storm system, an event unfolded that defied expectations even among seasoned observers. Two tornadoes formed side by side, rotating in near-perfect synchronization. This phenomenon is exceptionally rare. While multiple tornadoes can occur within the same system, seeing them align so closely, mirroring each other's motion and intensity, challenges conventional understanding. It appeared less like chaos and more like coordination. As the twin tornadoes moved across the landscape, another element emerged that could not be ignored. Witnesses reported hearing a sound unlike anything typically associated with storms. It was described as metallic, resonant, and sustained more like a trumpet than thunder. Unlike the sharp cracks or rolling booms usually produced by lightning, this sound carried a distinct tone and duration. It did not fade quickly. It lingered. What made this even more unsettling was its consistency. The sound was not limited to a single listener or location. Multiple recording devices captured it from different vantage points, ruling out simple auditory distortion or equipment malfunction. The recordings showed similar frequency and structure, suggesting a real atmospheric phenomenon, yet one without a clear explanation. Meteorologists attempted to identify a source. Some theories pointed to interactions between wind, pressure, and large structures. Others suggested rare atmospheric resonance effects. However, none fully accounted for the prolonged, trumpet-like quality described by witnesses. The difficulty in explaining the sound left a gap between data and experience, a space where certainty dissolved. Storms are usually understood as physical events governed by measurable forces: heat, moisture, pressure, and motion. Tornadoes represent extreme instability, born from imbalance. But sound introduces another dimension. When a storm produces not only destruction, but a distinct and unfamiliar signal, perception changes. The event no longer feels random. It feels intentional. In the Bible, the sound of a trumpet carries deep symbolic meaning. It is often associated with moments of warning, intervention, or awakening. In 1 Thessalonians 4:16, the trumpet is described as a signal, an announcement that something significant is taking place and demands attention. It is not background noise, it is deliberate. This perspective does not dismiss science. Rather, it reflects how humans interpret extraordinary events through multiple lenses. When natural phenomena break expected patterns, people instinctively search for meaning: a synchronized storm, a sustained metallic sound, multiple witnesses, recorded evidence. Together, these elements feel less like coincidence and more like a message awaiting interpretation. When storms bring not only wind and destruction, but also sound that resembles a signal, the question remains: what is being announced? Is it merely an atmospheric anomaly? Or does it point to a moment of transition, one where familiar rules no longer fully apply? After storms produced not only destruction, but sound signals that many struggled to explain, the focus shifted from the sky to the ground beneath our feet. What followed was quieter, subtler, yet no less unsettling. Where tornadoes roared and trumpets seemed to echo through the air, this event unfolded in near silence, as if the earth itself was responding in its own language. An ancient stone altar bearing Hebrew inscriptions from the 1st century was reportedly discovered in a remote area of Arizona. The markings, weathered yet legible, immediately drew attention from historians and archaeologists. But what transformed this find from historical curiosity into something far more disturbing was what happened next. According to multiple witnesses, the stone began to vibrate rhythmically without any visible cause. There was no earthquake, no heavy machinery nearby, no surface disturbance that could explain the movement. Sensitive measuring instruments were deployed to detect seismic activity, ground resonance, or mechanical interference. The readings came back normal. The surrounding area remained still. Yet the stone continued to move. Those present struggled to describe what they were witnessing. The vibration was not violent or chaotic. It was steady, measured. Several witnesses said it felt less like an impact and more like a pulse, comparing it to a heartbeat rather than a collision. The stone did not shift position or crack. It simply resonated, as if responding to a force that could not be seen. From a scientific perspective, unexplained vibration presents a challenge. Without seismic input, known mechanical causes, or environmental triggers, the phenomenon resists easy classification. From a symbolic perspective, it raises deeper questions. Stones are among the most inert elements of the natural world. They do not react. They do not move. They endure. When something so fundamentally still begins to respond, attention is unavoidable. The Bible contains striking language about moments when creation itself reacts. It speaks of stones crying out, of foundations shaking, of the earth responding when human awareness fails. These passages are not merely poetic. They frame moments of disruption as communication signals intended to awaken those who are paying attention. In that context, the vibrating altar becomes more than an anomaly. It becomes a symbol, a reminder that messages are not always delivered through words or noise, but sometimes through motion, through subtle disturbances that challenge assumptions about what is possible. The timing is what unsettles many observers. This event did not occur in isolation. It emerged alongside violent storms, unusual sounds, collapsing land, and shifting patterns across the natural world. Taken together, these moments suggest not randomness, but alignment. When rocks objects defined by their stillness begin to move, the question is not only how, but why. What message is being conveyed when even the most silent elements of creation appear to respond? If these events make you pause and question, like this video, comment with your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and keep watching as we continue uncovering what these signs may be pointing toward. During a severe winter storm, something unfolded that went beyond ordinary weather reports. As snow fell heavily and visibility dropped, the sky transformed into vivid shades of pink and purple, casting an otherworldly glow across roads, buildings, and open fields. The scene felt surreal, almost unreal. Images and videos spread rapidly online, not because of destruction, but because of disbelief. Many who witnessed it struggled to describe what they were seeing. Experts quickly offered explanations. They pointed to the refraction of light through dense cloud cover and ice crystals at sunset, combined with artificial ground lighting reflecting back into the storm clouds. Under very specific conditions, this interaction can produce unusual colors in the sky. However, even specialists emphasized how rare such alignment is. The number of variables involved makes this phenomenon uncommon, especially on a scale so vast. What stood out most was the scope. This was not a localized effect limited to one horizon or viewing angle. The color blanketed the entire sky, erasing familiar visual reference points. Drivers navigating snow-covered roads reported disorientation as the unnatural light altered depth perception. Onlookers described the feeling as if reality itself had briefly shifted, as though familiar rules no longer applied. Despite scientific explanations, emotional reactions dominated public discussion. Many described the sight as beautiful, yet deeply unsettling. Beauty usually brings comfort. This did not. The colors felt misplaced, too intense, too complete, and too synchronized with the storm. It wasn't just something to observe, it was something that altered how people perceived their surroundings. Throughout history, changes in the sky have carried symbolic weight. Across cultures and belief systems, unusual celestial displays have often been interpreted as markers of transition moments, when one phase ends and another begins. The Bible frequently speaks of signs in the heavens appearing before times of significant change, urging observers not merely to look, but to discern. These signs are portrayed not as random spectacles, but as signals meant to be noticed. This perspective does not reject physics or atmospheric science. Light refraction explains how such colors can form, but explanation does not erase impact. Human beings respond not only to mechanisms, but to meaning. When the sky itself appears unfamiliar during a moment of danger and uncertainty, it resonates on a deeper level. The timing intensifies that response. The colored sky did not appear on a calm evening, but in the midst of a violent storm, when movement was restricted and awareness heightened. Snow, wind, and color converged into a single experience that many found impossible to dismiss. At a quiet freshwater lake in Illinois, observers documented a sight that defied established patterns of animal behavior. Fish were seen stacking vertically, forming a tall, moving column beneath the surface of the water. Instead of spreading outward in a horizontal school, hundreds, possibly thousands, aligned upward, creating what appeared to be a living tower. Such a configuration had never been recorded on this scale. What made the phenomenon more striking was its persistence. The The column did not collapse or scatter. It shifted position while maintaining its vertical structure. Ultrasound measurements confirmed what observers saw, detecting a dense, tower-like mass of living organisms moving together in coordinated motion. This ruled out optical illusion. Something real and organized was occurring beneath the surface. Scientists and biologists searched for familiar explanations. Fish typically school defensively, tightening or dispersing in response to predators. Yet no predators were detected. Water samples showed no chemical contamination, no sudden oxygen imbalance. Temperature levels remained stable. There were no visible environmental disturbances that would normally trigger such behavior. The absence of an obvious cause deepened the mystery. Organized movement in nature usually has a clear trigger: fear, feeding, migration, or stress. Here, none applied. The fish were not fleeing. They were not hunting. They were not dispersing. They were gathering upward, as if responding to a signal that could not be seen or measured. Biologists acknowledged the limits of current models. While collective animal behavior is well studied, sustained vertical alignment of this kind challenges existing explanations. The level of coordination suggests a shared response, yet the source of that response remains unidentified. Without a visible threat, the behavior appears intentional rather than reactive. Beyond scientific inquiry, the event stirred symbolic reflection. In the Bible, seas and the creatures within them are often depicted as responding to unseen commands, forces issued without sound or gesture. Water is portrayed as a medium of authority, and aquatic life as sensitive to pressures invisible to human perception. Movement, in these accounts, reflects order rather than chaos. Viewed through that lens, the fish wall becomes more than an anomaly. It becomes a question. What prompts creation to move in alignment without an apparent cause? What unseen influence guides motion in silence? Stay with us. Like, comment, and subscribe, and continue exploring as more unusual patterns emerge across land, sea, and sky. After witnessing nature move in coordinated silence, creatures aligning without visible cause, the focus shifts from instinctive reaction to deliberate preservation. Where living systems responded to unseen signals, this discovery suggests intention, planning, and waiting. Not movement, but concealment. Not reaction, but safeguarding. During a geological survey in the southwestern United States, researchers uncovered a sealed underground vault hidden beneath layers of rock and sediment. The structure was not exposed by erosion or collapse. It was revealed only after deep scanning detected an artificial void. Its location and depth suggested deliberate concealment rather than accidental burial. This was not debris left behind by time. It was construction meant to remain unseen. Inside the vault, investigators found a collection of sealed scrolls, arranged with order and symmetry, resembling an ancient Middle Eastern archive. The symbols inscribed on them bore strong resemblance to early Hebrew script, structured, intentional, and symbolic. These were not decorative markings or random etchings. They followed patterns consistent with written language meant to be preserved and understood, not displayed. Most unsettling was what lay beside them. A skeletal figure was discovered clutching the scrolls, positioned as if guarding them. The posture appeared deliberate, arms drawn inward, body oriented toward the documents. There were no signs of struggle, collapse, or haste. Everything about the placement suggested purpose. Someone remained behind, not to flee, but to protect. The structure itself deepened the mystery. Its design did not align with known indigenous building methods of the region, nor did it match any modern engineering. Materials, layout, and orientation placed it outside established architectural timelines. It stood apart from what history would expect to find there. Archaeologists and historians faced immediate limitations. Without cultural context, the scrolls resisted classification. Without comparable structures, the vault could not be placed within known traditions. The discovery existed beyond familiar frameworks. Scripture repeatedly references messages sealed until an appointed time, not lost, not forgotten, preserved for a specific generation capable of recognizing their meaning. In that context, concealment is not absence, it is delay. That perspective reframes the discovery. The scrolls were not buried by chance. They were entrusted to time. And the Guardian's presence suggests someone believed the message mattered enough to wait. The question is no longer only what the scrolls contain, but why they are emerging now. When messages from the past surface amid widespread instability, timing itself becomes part of the message. When viewed separately, each event can be explained, debated, or dismissed. A storm here, a collapse there, an unusual sound, an unexpected discovery. But when these moments are placed side by side, a different picture begins to emerge. The pattern is not defined by geography or category, but by timing, intensity, and alignment. Across land, sea, and sky, disturbances are unfolding in rapid succession. Boundaries that once held firm are weakening. Weather systems behave outside familiar cycles. The ground shifts. Water moves where it should not. Living creatures respond in synchronized ways without visible triggers. Even objects thought to be inert stone, earth, buried structures enter the narrative. This is not fragmentation. It is convergence. What makes this pattern difficult to ignore is simultaneity. These events are not separated by decades or confined to one region. They overlap. They escalate together. They unfold across different layers of the natural world at the same time, suggesting pressure applied broadly rather than randomly. Systems are being tested in parallel, not isolation. Historically, moments of transition are often marked by clusters rather than singular signs. One event prepares the way for another. Awareness builds not through shock alone, but through repetition and connection. When disruptions appear across unrelated domains, yet share similar characteristics, unpredictability, intensity, and symbolism, they invite deeper examination. Scripture describes such moments as times of shaking, not destruction for its own sake, but exposure. What is weak is revealed. What is hidden comes into view. The purpose is not confusion, but clarity. Patterns exist, to be recognized, not feared. The question, then, is not whether each event has a technical explanation. Many do. The question is, why so many are happening together, now? Why do they echo each other in form and consequence? And why do they provoke the same underlying response? A sense that something fundamental is shifting. Recognition is the first step. Patterns only matter if they are seen. If this analysis resonates with you, like the video, comment with your perspective, and subscribe to the channel to stay with us as we continue examining these connections. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to look beyond the surface.